Premier is here. Premier Heating and Air is offering rebates starting at $1,000 with the purchase of a new heating and air system. Upgrade your system before the summer heat is here. Premier Heating and Air offering free Wi-Fi thermostats included with the purchase of a heating and air system. And now pay just $89 for a system checkup. Experience the Premier difference today. Or log on to dublin.premierishere.com. Premier Heating and Air, a locally owned and operated company.
Welcome to the show. I got my great friend Jeff Cannon with me today. Jeff, thank you so much for being with us here. Jeff, you Citizens Bank, gee, how long now?
We actually opened in 2002, I guess, was our official opening date. So we've been here 23 years.
So 23 years.
And I've been in banking 43 years.
So that's what I wanted to ask you. So tell me a little bit about people watching this show today, and I'm trying to use this too as a platform to get to know our bank presidents in case some people don't know you guys personally. And so coming out of college or school or whatever and got the whole world ahead of you, where did you start and what got you into banking?
Well, you know, I grew up in Dublin and went to Dublin High School, and then I graduated from Mercer. And in 1982, jobs, you may not remember this, I'm not sure how old you are. But
I would have been, in 5 years, I would have been finding employment. So.
Jobs were few and far between in the early 80s. So when I came out, I've got a degree in accounting, and even the accounting firms now are not hiring per se. So not like they are today, because I think basically they're looking for recruiting. And the first job that I got offered was just kind of a strange thing, was manage a men's clothing store downtown, which I knew nothing about. So I thought, that's not a good fit. And my next offer came from the banking department. So I started out actually as a state bank examiner for a year. And then I was auditing one of the local banks, and they offered me a job, and then went to work there for 18 years.
Okay.
And then
and when you got into banking, at what point in your career in banking, what were you doing maybe when you realized, you know what, did you ever say, I want to be CEO at the bank one day, or did you say, I want to be a loan officer, or what, how did that look?
I guess at a certain point in time in my previous life at the first bank, there was just some situations that happened, and I got elevated quickly. And I guess it was, at that point in time, I thought, I enjoy managing people and working with people. Maybe not managing isn't the great word. I just enjoy working with all of my team members. And I think I've got something to offer from a leadership standpoint. And I thought, I think I can help make, whatever institution I'm with better because of the abilities I have.
Well, and I appreciate you saying that, Jeff. That's one of the things that everybody has their own little quirks and things, but I hear people talk about, sometimes they'll say, I manage people. You manage time and you manage finances. You lead people, and you alluded to that. You said leadership. That's a difference in people who aspire to lead people versus people who feel like they're managers. The people who work with them probably feel like they're being managed. And so you guys do have a great culture at your bank. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I hope that I allow my employees to expand what they can do. I mean, I pretty much, like I said, I don't really manage, and some people may say, maybe I'm not as stern about some things as I should be, but I've always been of the belief that if you'll let people go and let them do what they do best, their best abilities will rise to the surface, and then you will see what they're capable of doing. So, and I've always just allowed them to do that, and I hope that's helped develop the culture that you detect when you go in our banks.
And Jeff, I would say you guys, again, to just an attribute for you guys at your bank, longevity in your employment. You guys have had some great ones even that have come and maybe retired. I'm looking in my peripheral vision behind you at one of them. But people that you have there today, but then you still continue to bring younger folks on. Talk to me a little bit about your team, and then talk to me a little bit about what you're looking for today to grow your team for the future.
Okay, I've got team members now that I guess I'm 65, and I've got team members that are 3 or 4 that are older than I am. And most of them have been
We're not going to name names.
No, but most of them have been with me since we opened in 2002.
That's pretty solid.
And worked with me in my previous life. So I've worked with some of these people for the better part of my 40 plus years in banking. Today it's getting harder to find the culture of the younger. They're just not quite as, I don't know how exactly to say it.
Career-minded, maybe?
Yeah, that may be it. They're, because I know we've all heard the studies that, people our age, you may have 1, maybe 2 jobs in your whole life. Kids now maybe have 10 jobs.
Yeah, 1 or 2 a year.
They're always looking for other opportunities, but I hope we're able to create the culture you're talking about, is that we're going to let you develop into the best person you can be. And if we can do that, then I think you will like where you work and make you do a better job.
So what are some key attributes for you if someone's coming in and let's say maybe whether it be a younger person or somebody even a little more into their journey,
Yeah.
but what are the 2 or 3 key things that Jeff Cannon is looking for to say this is a potential teammate for us?
Well, I want them to be like self-starters, self-motivators, that they, I don't have to manage. That's it, and I watch people that, when there are things needed to be done, I would never want anybody that is like, this is not in my job description. Well, I could tell you things I've done over the years that would have never been part of my job description, but you do what needs to be done. And you can tell with people after they've been there a while, they'll just pick up and do things.
Yeah.
If it needs to be done, they just make sure it gets done. And
Yeah.
they don't want, you don't need to be, they won't want all the credit for doing it. It just gets done. And
Yeah.
it's just those types of attributes, just self-motivated, and you got to have, I've always said there are certain people skills that you can't teach. I think we can train most anybody in certain aspects of banking, but those people skills you can't really, if you don't have those in you, those are
Right.
really hard to get out or to train.
So that's talent. And so
Right.
you're hiring talent.
Right.
You can train the skill.
Right.
To the processes, the procedures, those
Exactly.
things. You got to have that talent coming through the door. And
Right.
I love what you were alluding to there earlier. I shared this on another show. That's not my job.
Yeah.
To me, there's just nothing that oozes arrogance and laziness
Right.
more than anybody to say that's not my job. If it's not your job, well, get me to the person who does and help me
Right.
find out the answer that we need there. Jeff, something else really, really important. Don't have to tell you, banks are plentiful in Lawrence County. You guys, I'm so proud to say, yes, we have many banks, and yes, all of our banks, they work well together, they partner, they help. I see you guys even lending a hand to one another at whether it's trade shows or different things around town. You guys all work in unison here. So in working together and understanding the importance of local banking, one of the things you guys have always been great partners at doing is giving back in the community.
Right.
Whether it's civic organizations, donations. Talk to me a little bit about your bank's role in supporting the local community.
Well, I guess those of you that know my mom and dad knew they were heavily involved in the community. My mom was just, and my dad too. My dad was more of a behind the scenes kind of guy, but he did a lot of stuff. I knew what he was doing, but he never got credit for it. But my mom, some of the stuff she did, the two of them taught me that this community gets better because we work at it, and you need to be involved. And I've been involved with almost every nonprofit at some point over the last 40 plus years. And I look for people, and I encourage my people to get involved in everything they can, because it looks good for the community, helps the community get better, it looks good for the bank. And I'm not saying, I would not say,
No,
of course, I want the bank to get recognition that we get out there and we work.
And let me give you a quick plug, Jeff. 2 times, I don't know if this is a congratulations or a plug, 2 times as the chair here at the chamber. Most people, no, I'm picking. I hope people enjoy it. I certainly enjoyed working with you. Only got to do that one time with you as the
Right.
chair, but very enjoyable. But something else, and I know is near and dear to you and in your bank and your bank support is St. Patrick's here
Yes.
in Lawrence County. So,
Yeah, I chaired that back in, it's like, well, I'm still on the committee because I'm co-chair with the Music and Munchies now. And I came back when we brought the Munchies back in. But I was chairman back in the last century. It's like when we had our past chairs luncheon the other day, there was only one person there was chair before I was. So it's been a long time, but yeah, I've been involved with this since I was a little guy. When I was growing up, I did stuff because my mom was involved in it almost from the get-go. She wasn't in the original crew, but I think Ann Everly and that group got my mom involved pretty quick. So, and she used to do things and I would go with her to whatever she was doing. So it just kind of got, yeah, I think St. Patrick's is one of the biggest things that this community should always stand behind, and it makes this community shine.
certainly known for it, not only throughout our state, but even throughout the Southeast.
Right.
So something to be proud of
Yeah.
here in the community. Jeff, I've talked a lot with other folks, and whatever industry you're in, whatever business you're in today, security and cyber crimes and things such as that are just on everybody's mind. Talk to me about that in your bank.
Yeah, we've got, I can remember getting into banking in the early 80s and there was no such thing, because there was just, the biggest fear you had was somebody going, walk in with a gun and hold the bank up. That's just not, that doesn't happen now.
So technology
It's
has
yes.
replaced that. That doesn't
Yes.
happen as
Yes.
much, but
Yes.
now it's
We
even
don't-
worse.
Yeah, it's just, you don't read about it like
Right.
it used to, because basically the way to, steal from a bank now is through technology. And we've got an entire IT department now, and we've got several third-party vendors that help us with all types of security things. So it's like we're constantly upgrading everything at all our board meetings and all, almost at least 2 or 3 times a year. There's upgrades that are coming or a new product that's being added to try to deter whatever has become the latest and greatest thing of trying to defraud banks and defraud customers.
Yeah, and I think it's so important for people to realize, because we're focusing a series of local community banks and the support that you guys offer us, but then also the services and things that you offer back to the community, for people to realize, nothing against any national banks or large chains, but people can know with certainty you're getting taken care of here. We have all the bells and whistles and everything that you need to know your money is safe
Right.
in the banks here in Lawrence County.
And they know, and I'm sure they know, and I'm including all the community banks here, if you need to talk to me, you can call me.
And that is so important.
Right.
Well, and also that not just to have that accessibility to our CEOs in our banks here or to the team members or whatever, but those familiar faces.
Right.
I know in the time that I've been here in Lawrence County, and I am still one of those people that likes to walk into the bank versus going through a drive-through. Nothing wrong with that, and that's for some people. But I know your folks. And
Right.
when I go in, even if somebody's not there for an extended period of time or anything else, I can ask, is so-and-so okay? Or if this person's not here? It's good to have familiar faces.
Right.
And I think when people are handling your money and your investment, or you're trying to grow or build a business, I think to have that familiarity and
Right.
to be able to work with somebody that you know and trust is important.
Those are all the strengths of community banks. You just basically did a tagline for a commercial for community banks. That's what we are. We're part of the community. You know us, you know all of us. And at some point in time, if you're not, really familiar with me, you know a member of my team, and you can call that person and they will either handle it or they will get to the person that needs to handle it.
Yeah, great.
And give you back pretty quick response.
We are blessed to have what we have here
Yes,
in our
very
community.
much so, and they're all strong.
Yep. We need to take a really quick commercial break, Jeff, and then we'll be right back.
Okay.
Progressive Rural Telephone Co-op offers a full range of communication products and services to its members in Lawrence County and surrounding areas. We take pride in being your total communications provider, and we work hard to provide quality services at the best prices. In addition to offering phone service, we provide high-speed internet and digital high-def TV. And we always strive to put our members first. Progressive Rural, your total communications company. Small enough to know you, large enough to serve you. ProgressiveTel.com. Call 478-984-4201 or stop by 890 Simpson Avenue in Renss. Progressive Rural Telephone Co-op.
The Houston Clinic is located in the heart of Dublin, in close proximity to Fairview Park Hospital. Dr. Gay and Dr. Richter utilize state-of-the-art equipment and the most up-to-date treatment available today. The Houston Clinic conveniently offers on-site physical therapy. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So call for an appointment today at 478-353-1166. Dr. Gay and Dr. Richter look forward to serving you at the Houston Clinic of Dublin, 100 Medical Drive, Suite 400. The Houston Clinic, providing state-of-the-art care closer to home.
Welcome back to the show, Jeff. Again, thank you so much for taking time out to join me today. So glad to have experience in banking and yes, I love to have new people. I like innovation. I like to try new things and share new things. But I think it's important for folks like us, especially when we have a platform to do so, to share with people things that we've learned, CEO lessons learned, if you would, type of information to help somebody. Maybe they hadn't reached the point to be a CEO yet, but they're working in that career pathway and they may be a CEO. What's a good tip that you would share if you were we got a lessons learned platform from CEOs and you're on the platform there? What would be your lesson learned that you'd like to share with folks?
Well, you always got to be a team player. You've always got to be, like I talked about earlier, when things need to get done, if that happens to be, you happen to be the one that finds something that needs to be done, make sure it gets done. Just follow up, true to your word, always be, my employees always know where I stand. I mean, I don't think they, would ever say that I've misled them. I've always been upfront and just be a great mentor.
Okay, and to do that, and I think you've mentioned, and we've said one or two times, our bit accessibility.
Right.
To be there for people so that they know and they want to come ask you because they know
right.
you want to share with them.
Yeah, my team members know that my door's always open.
That's fantastic.
Always open.
And along those same lines, and we've covered this a little bit, Jeff, but just kind of looking into your crystal ball, if you would, and looking ahead to the future, to set the bank up for success for years to come. What are some things that you see that may change in banking or that might look different? Certainly things have changed in the last 10 years.
Yes.
What do you see maybe for the next 10?
Well, I guess I can look back to remember when we opened the downtown office, the thing that we did not have was a drive-through, and that we opened actually opened the doors in November of 19, which, and I thought, in that time before that, I had predicted in 10 years, drive-throughs would basically become much, much less used than they are today. Of course, then March 2020 hit, and
that nobody saw coming.
Yeah, nobody saw COVID coming, and suddenly we were, our drive-throughs were the only thing. The bank's drive-throughs were the only thing that were open. We were doing loans and other documents crack it through the door to customers. It's like, we actually sat downtown and we had lunch downtown and sat in the lobby and set up a table because there was only 6 of us. So I still think because of knowing my kids, the age they are, and how much they use technology, use their phone, the banking, all the banks have apps for their thing. Going in the bank, I don't think it's going to be as big a deal. Like you said, you like to go into the bank. Mm-hmm. I think the younger people are not used to that. They're used to it. So I think technology is definitely over the next 10 years, you're going to see it just snowball. Is that basically you'll be able to do practically everything, either on with your desktop or either with an app on your phone. But there's still going to have to be people. The banks will still have to have dependable folks because I think the younger people, as they mature, they will become actually a little bit more, where they'd like to call the bank and talk to somebody.
Yeah, for me, I know that'll never go away, but it could be different. for future. So, Jeff, from a banking perspective, whether business, small business, large business, regulations today, interest rates, things are up and down and all over the place. So just tell me a little bit about today and where we are in loans and people having accessibility to loans. Are there any big changes? We got a new, I still like to say, administration at the White House. A lot of things are different. A lot of things are changing. Sometimes for good. Sometimes they're very questionable. But so how does that look from a banking perspective?
I think maybe the confidence level is up a little since the election. I think a lot of people view just the business environment now is they're a little bit more confident in doing things that they may not have done before. And it's because I think they feel like maybe it's a little bit more pro-business.
Okay.
You know, the government's maybe not, I think regulatory scrutiny may have eased up a little bit. There's been some changes in Washington, and one of the major agencies up there that's been changed or at least stifled presently. And I think you're just going to find that interest rates are, you know, I've always thought, this is Jeff's opinion, prime somewhere between 6 and 7 allows for borrowing at a reasonable rate, and it also allows us to pay depositors a reasonable rate. When rates were so low, it was great for the borrower, not so great if you were a depositor because you were earning very little on your money. So I think where prime is, it might be a little higher than I'd like, but it's in the ballpark of what I think that really motivates people to get out, and if they need to expand their business or open a new business, I think the environment out there is pretty good right now.
Okay, and what do you see from an investment or a savings point right now? Are people buying CDs? Are they buying savings bonds? Are they putting money in savings accounts? Do you see less people putting money in the bank, more people trying to keep cash on hand maybe? What does all that look like?
I think our deposits are up, and I think that would be the probably the thread that all of the bankers have probably told you, that the deposits are up. They have confidence in the banks. Like I said before, the banks in Dublin are very strong. I'm in a CEO group, and we get things about all the state banks around the state, and the ones in Lawrence County are, that's why competition's like it is, because everybody's that good. They're that good. But I think the confidence is there. The deposits are up. You see people investing in lots of different things. I think the younger people they're not so close to retirement that they don't mind taking maybe some risk in the stock market or in mutual funds, or just things that are not, when you get to my age, you want a solid return. It doesn't have to be that high just so it's there. The return's there and you protect the principal. So I think,
pretty good confidence level there.
I think so.
And this may be something that you probably don't delve into on a day-to-day basis, but I would love to know if you have the answer for this. Loans. What are people, if they're borrowing money today, what are some of the things that you see that people are borrowing more for? And are they borrowing more short term, or are they trying to borrow more for longer term?
A lot of what we see now, people are expanding their businesses. They're expanding either the line of what they do, say if they need more vehicles to do what they do, if they need to expand the physical plant of where they are just to do that. And I think their cash flow numbers, the accountants are really good at helping them. If they're not, totally confident how to do this, the accountants help them, show them where a healthy cash flow position is, and that will determine how much or how quickly they pay it back. I think everybody understands, the quicker you can get it paid back, that's the best thing, but you can't hamper your cash flow by making it too quick and make the payments too large that your cash flow is affected.
Right. The good thing that I think I'm hearing here is people are depositing money and people are borrowing money.
Yes.
And so both of those are good things to hear. Let's take us one more commercial break, and then we'll come back and wrap things up.
Hi, Dublin and Lawrence County. My name is Michael Wheelis, and I'm here with Dublin Piggly Wiggly. Check out our great savings and stop by Piggly Wiggly, where you'll find the freshest fruits and vegetables along with fresh cut pork, chicken, and beef. Remember, Piggly Wiggly is Lawrence County Certified Angus Beef Dealer. Piggly Wiggly reminds you to shop with us.
If you measure your lawn by the acre, mow it with the #1 selling diesel zero-turn mower series for more than 5 years. With comfort, with durability, with the Kubota ZD. ACS deck technology for improved cutting performance, responsive and durable shaft drive transmissions, hands-free hydraulic deck lift, and all-day comfort. No matter how you measure your lawn, the Kubota ZD delivers. Visit your local Kubota dealer today.
Products you can count on, a name you can trust. That's Midstate Tractor and Equipment.
Welcome back to the show, Jeff. Again, thank you so much for being with us. During our commercial break, I had just one of those thoughts that randomly ran through my head. I don't believe I've asked any other bankers that I've talked to on the show. And just so that people understand, I'm assuming that I'm correct here, and I want you to expound on this a little bit. Jeff doesn't get to wake up in the morning and come to the bank, and he's the CEO, but he doesn't just get to say, well, these are all the things I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to change the bank, and this is the direction that the bank's headed. There's a board of directors.
Right.
And talk to me a little bit about that board of directors, and how does that board of directors come to be? Are there certain terms that they can serve for only so many years? Are there certain things that they do or don't? How does someone become a board member at a bank?
A lot of times you have to be invited to be a board member. It used to be, I guess I've been on the board, I don't even know how long I've been on the board here, but the board really just oversees the bank as far as from a policy standpoint. Every year we'll go through, when we approve all the policies every January, February meeting, there's a stack like, it's there, if you want to read all that, but somebody in the bank, whoever's in charge of that area has already gone through that policy and made sure, and we have enough outside third-party vendors who come in and review all our policies to make sure that they're in compliance and all. Our board, I actually have two boards. We have the fiduciary board, which is actually located in Swainsboro, and then I have a local advisory board. The fiduciary board in Swainsboro, there's an age limit at a certain point in time that you become a director emeritus. Then that's up to you if you want to come to the meetings or not. But but basically our committee down there is also what we call our loan executive committee that looks at loans over a certain dollar amount, and they look at those it's at 2 meetings a month or at any other point in time that something pops up that needs to be reviewed that's over my lending limit or over our credit department's lending limit that the board considers. So they're very much plugged in, very strong board of directors, fiduciary board. They're all businessmen, and they all are very much plugged into looking at the loans that have been proposed, and they ask very good questions, because being internally, and I mean, I've lived in these cash flows and all these type things, they have a lot of really great questions. So we have a really strong board. Our local advisory board is, there's 10 people locally that basically they don't have the fiduciary capacity, but they also have their eyes and ears in the community. And they hear things, see things, tell us things, we tell them things, but it's just, it works really well to have a local board like that to help the bankman need be.
People understand, and just to make sure I'm correct in what I heard you say, and so there is some threshold to where if someone comes in the bank, and it may be a little quicker or easier process where you can actually just go ahead and say, yes, I'm going to approve that loan. But then once it reaches that threshold, that's going before a board of directors, and there's going to be some more questions asked, and just a lot more thorough look at that type of a loan.
And I think everybody does that. I don't think everybody has a certain threshold that the president, CEO actually can lend up to that point. But after that, I would sometimes even with things that are within my thing, I let my credit folks look at it.
Sure.
I'm like, make sure I'm seeing this exactly the way I'm seeing it. Make sure I didn't miss something.
Right. Oh, I think always good to do. Jeff, does a bank board of directors, do they meet on a regular basis, or do they have terms, or once you're on the bank board, you could be on the bank board till you don't want to be on the bank board? How does
Right.
that work?
Our board basically meets twice a month. During COVID, we went to Zoom meetings for our first meeting of the month. So one of ours is a Zoom meeting. There's an in-person once a month. Yeah, you're actually, once you get on the board, you're there until your retirement age.
Okay.
Or until you decide, I just can't fulfill the duties because we have to take an oath every year.
Okay.
And, you adhere to the duties that you are supposed to do. And I guess if you got to the point where you couldn't do that,
Might be asked to step down.
yeah, you
or
just decide.
Is there a particular number of that's an ideal, you want to kind of stay in this range, or is there a point where you get maybe a little too heavy, too many board members, or maybe even the opposite, not enough board members? How does that look?
Well, our bylaws require that the number of board members be between X and Y.
Okay.
And we're somewhere about in the middle of that. So yeah, I think there's always too many people. That becomes too many opinions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe that's not a really good way to say that, but I think a lot of times it's like anytime you get on, you've been on committees, I've been on committees.
If you've got too
There's
many,
just
it's
lots
hard
of
to get
meetings,
anything
and sometimes
done.
it's like, we can't, we can deal with 2 or 3 ideas, we can't deal with 27.
Right.
It's just not possible to do it in an effective manner.
Yeah, I
So-
agree. So Jeff, again, I want to say thank you, not only for your time today, but your time in service to this chamber, your service in time to this community. Again, whether it's St. Patrick's or some other organization, and then even you allowing your teammates. I know I couldn't do some of the work that we do here at our chamber without some of your teammates that you allow to come and help us and volunteer with the different things that we do. So thank you for that. And I want to give you just a minute, look into the camera over here and tell folks if they're considering a career or some sort of a banking need, why you guys would be the choice.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to you at Citizens Bank. We've got 2 locations, 1210 Hillcrest Parkway and also downtown in the Henry. We've a full service bank. We can offer you anything that you need from a financial standpoint. Just give us a call. And if you're thinking about a banking career, just give me a call. I mean, I will always have a chance to talk to you. And if we don't have an opening at the time, we can always give you pointers as to if we hear things like sometimes I do hear that some of the other banks may have openings. I'll be glad to direct you that way because our industry is only as strong as all the cogs are.
And again, that's an important thing you mentioned there. You guys, it's phenomenal to see the co-opetition, I guess is the only word that I can think of here. But fortunately, to have as many banks as we do, you guys are successful, and we're thankful that you are successful because, again, that allows you to reinvest in our community to help us continue to build and grow. So, Jeff, again, thank you for your time today, and thank you for your time. Thank you for helping us make today and every day a great day for business in Dublin, Lawrence County.